Hello, in today's video, we're going to go over adding a pay type in for non-work. This may be something that you want to add to a request, such as vacation, bereavement, sick, things like that, so that you can utilize that as a PTO type transaction to apply to individuals in bulk or into the future, so you can push them through into time cards that don't exist yet. So the first place we want to do is create the pay type. If you're not able to create a pay type, then access your help desk to see if the pay type can be added. But I'm going into configuration, company setup, and pay types. So these are all the pay types we have here. It's important not to modify any of these, or that could cause issues with any that were used in the past or even with being used in the future. So what we want to do is add a new pay type, and we'll do work comp. So just some initials up here so I kind of know what it is at a glance. And then the name down here. Now the thing is, do we want these hours to accrue towards overtime? Most times you're not going to want that. So we leave that blank. For our punch type, we're going to come down and use personal time paid. And our map to payroll, we would want to add the code for this. So depending on your payroll company, what they want to see, it might be W or a number, a combination of letters, anything like that. But that's important when we do our payroll export, that it lines up with the payroll side so the employee gets paid for the specific item that we are exporting. We want to make it active. It should already be a standard punch type for personal paid. It's probably sick or personal or vacation. Include blended OT. No, that's not for this. PT protect, don't need. We don't need to include it in threshold, although you may want to. The threshold is typically what's been set up on your company. Most times it's 16 hours. And anything over 16 hours would cause a break in the transaction so that it brought it to your attention. So we really don't include any of these things here. Our OT multiplier, 0.00, 0.00 on the multiplier. These are somewhat new. And once I have that, I'm going to click Save. And then that should show up in here. There we go. And again, it's similar to your personal, which we see personal paid, and vacation. That's a different one. Vacation and sick have their own, but this is all under personal paid. Could I have used a vacation instead of personal paid on this one? Yes. You could have used sick. You could have used a vacation punch. You'll notice the time type is number 2 for sick, for vacation, and for personal. So not a big stretch. We just leave it as a personal. And now that we have it added in here, we want to be able to use it. We want to be able to assign it to somebody in a transaction. But first, we need to go to the PTO plan. And I have multiple plans for different employees. If I only need it for one group of employees that uses the 100 plan, then that's all I would add it in. But chances are you'll need to use it for everyone. So I'm going to click Edit. And we can see it's added here now. Put a check mark next to it. Since this is just going to be me adding unknown amount of work comp hours for somebody. It could be a day, it could be 2 weeks, could be a month, whatever the case. I'm just going to add the 9999 here under the maximum hours. I'm going to select Allow Negative Balance. We're not using this as an accrual or anything like that. So really we're done here for this. The rest of it is if I'm going to import balances, do accruals, and how those accruals should go through here. All I want is a pay type that I can add into my PTO dropdown so that I can select multiple days for times in the future, set it in, and let it go. And when it comes time, it'll come up and add it to their time card so I don't have to worry about it. So I go ahead and click Save here. Do my next policy. Again, work comp. Max the hours out here. Allow for negative balance and save. And then here, same thing. If I use the default hours here, I could basically award them X amount of hours to their bank to be preloaded in whenever an employee is added. As soon as I save that, it's not going to add them in. It's after the fact. But when you add a new employee, if they're assigned to the PTO plan and I have, say, 24 hours here, then it will place 24 hours in their bank for the year. Something like that might be useful with bereavement. But basically for this, not necessary. So I want to make sure I've got the allow negative balance, save. And now when I go to the employee details, and I'm going to edit an employee and go to their PTO bank, it is added in here as a category, and it will count down into the negative throughout the year on how much ever is being used towards this employee. At the beginning of the benefit year, whenever that is, whether it's the employee's hire date, benefit anniversary, or company rollover, I should revert back to 0. So moving forward, assigning that to an employee, either through the timesheet, add new transaction, PTO, just like you do a sick or vacation. There's my work comp. I add in my particulars. And maybe I want it for January 8th. Oops, not March. Let's say January 9th. That's outside of this pay period up here. Save that. And that's in. It took it. And when that time comes around, probably next year, I don't know that it'll show up in here, being this is 2022. But when you go forward to pay periods, it should list it down here under resolved, because it's not a request. It is you actually putting it in, which makes it an approved transaction. And that concludes the tutorial on adding in a personal paid pay type. Thank you for watching.